G'day Jabronis, this is the Verd, and this is episode 2 of the... Okay, is it Bird and Verd or Verd and Bird?
I don't know. I think it's either way. I don't really care.
It's the show, boys. It's the Verd and Bird show. I'm going to call it Verd and Bird because clearly the V is superior to the B, but I am of course joined by the highest of flying birds.
Hello, I am the Bird, and today we are going to talk about Velisify's success in the VGC format. He currently has won every single regionals because he's never been in one. And his most latest achievement is making the NPL majors. He's my favorite coach. I love the Adelaide Dingoes. Dude, I am the #1 fan.
Adelaide Dingoes currently have a terrible record, but it's okay because I will bounce back from this. But we have many more great things to discuss today. I've got a doozy of a topic potentially for later on, or we could kick off with it. It really depends on if there's anything else.
Let's kick off.
So, as you probably, or Bird, you probably don't know this, but the big drama, I guess, that's been happening around the NPL right now, there's two kind of big sticking points. The biggest one is the debate on Z moves. So, there is a portion of the Pokemon community that feel that Z moves are too broken and should be banned because they create an unfair advantage in the battling environment. And then there are others, Aberforth, who think that Z moves are fine, you can play around them, and they should be legal. Now, I'm kind of on the fence. I see both sides, but I'm kind of curious as to what your take on Z moves is.
I think defensive players have got to stop being such pussies. That's what I think. You know, we always get the defensive stall players going like, oh my lord, we allow trapping abilities, we allow Dugtrio. These things aren't broken. And you get the offensive players going, oh, I just dropped in a fast electric type and he has a Dugtrio. And I sort of see that both sides, but honestly, I think we need to adapt to the metagame. That's one thing a lot of people need to understand. When Mega Pokemon were first introduced to League format, they had such a superior strength to every other Pokemon. It's quite refreshing when you go back to play pre-Megas and pre-Z-Move League format. So, for example, a Gen 1 League, i.e. the greatest league of all time, the Stab League, Gen 1 off-season, which you saw raw power back to back. But I think with Z-Moves, it needs to be treated very cautiously. I think Aberforth raises a very good point in the limitation, having one dedicated Z-Move user, except I don't really think that's too limiting. I think for the balance, it needs to be at least 25% of your Pokemon drafted are eligible to use Z moves. I actually played in a league where we didn't have to nominate Z users. Now that's broken because every week you could bring whatever Z mon you wanted. So let's say that you had a very good matchup with your Garchomp one week, you could run Z Garchomp, or the next week you could run like Z Primarina, because that was the league format that we decided upon and we were happy to play for. And I think that it ultimately needs to be a nomination system. I am not against the use of Omnibus Z moves, because I once played in a league where Xerneas was legal, and by strange coincidence, Xerneas was one of the worst Pokemon because everyone just over-prepped for them. I think the topic of Omnibus Z moves, I think something like status Z moves are something that are a little bit overpowered. They do give the offensive player too much power, in my opinion. So, for example, Z Rain Dance Manaphy can 6-0 teams, and I'm really against that because I think that there needs to be a balance between offense and defense. However, at the same time, defense you can just roar away, but I think offensively we get into easier positions without as much forethought and thinking 30 turns ahead as a stall player may have to. For example, the great Ricardo would himself. So I definitely think that's my 2 cents on Z moves.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Honestly, like I said, I'm on the fence. There's two sides to this story, and at the end of the day, when it comes to the NPL, they're voting on it right now for majors, and for me, I've said that I'm okay with there being at least one Z-move. I'm tempted. There's two options that are very much tempting me, which is, one is where you can have a Z-move captain, which is basically what I have in the CPC, which I don't mind, and the other one is you can have more than one without the tax. There was also a tax levy they were looking to bring in. I don't really think that's necessary. I think the only tax levy you could do is potentially if you want them to have maybe a certain status Z move, you could make them more expensive, but yeah.
I think with the taxing, I'm really against this whole taxing idea. I know that the PPL said with their point system that they incorporated if it was a Z user so that it had its maximum potential. I'm really against it because it would be like saying Darmanitan is worth 6 points, but if you want to run Choice Scarf Darmanitan, it is 9 points. If you want to run Clefable Unaware, it's going to cost you 15 points, whereas if you want to run Clefable normally, it costs you 6 points. I think that those things need to really be considered, and I'm really against that because I'm really against the complex things of League format. I think League format, personally, I think should be you draft 12 mons in whatever tier system that you think is best. So, for example, if you want a more offensive tiered system, I think free draft is the way to go. However, we have seen a stall team drafted before, so full credit to them. If you want to see lower tier mods used, tier systems I really like. I really encourage something like the UCL tier system. If you want to see a bit of a mix and match, the GBA used to try to get the best out of that in a mix and match type style. And if you want to go point system, definitely look at something like the PPL. However, I do think that the point restructuring in the PPL would be needed because I don't think each mod is priced fairly. However, I do see their cognitive thinking behind each price of those Pokemon. So I think that if there was to be a tax, as you say, how are we going to tax every Pokemon for item restriction, or are we just going to tax Z moves? Yes, Z moves do give a 1 turn massive advantage to some Pokemon, i.e. Kyurem Black. However, if you wanted a long term in the battle strength, you would have to run something like a Choice Band, Life Orb, or Choice Scarf to get more benefit over time. So in theory, if the battle is going over 60 turns, you have a 1 in 60 turn to potentially change the match. You know, and the higher and higher the game turns span, the less impact the Z move does have, if that sort of makes sense. So I think that it needs to be definitely something called... I think Z moves are a one move tech. I do believe that Megas should be taxed because Megas are a full game effect. Something like Charizard goes from being going from an NU Pokemon to being one of the best Pokemon in OU or Tier 1 or 16 points or however you want to price it. But I think that for that to occur, that you are getting a long-term benefit out of that. You're not just getting the one turn.
Yeah, no, it's been a big debacle in the NPL as of late, and for me, I think it's just a farce. Like, I genuinely think there won't be a tax at the end of the day for this stuff. I think that people, like you said, will learn to adapt, as we did with Megas. Like, sure, you can maybe ban certain Z moves. For instance, like, maybe Z Free Shot Kyurem. If you want to ban that, then that's cool. Like, if you want to tariff those kind of things, then fine. But the actual idea that I came up with, that didn't really get the best reception from people, but I think it has its merit, is the idea of a base power limitation on Z moves. For instance, basically saying that you can have any mon use a Z move, but only if it's the move that it's using corresponding with the Z move is 80 base power or below. So like your Dazzling Gleams, your Shadow Balls, stuff like that. So you're not using like Z Hyper Beam or Z Thunder, these ridiculously overpowered ones. Like Gypsy was mentioning the other day that Z Focus Punch Hooper, basically O-code Alolan Muck. Like, that kind of shit shouldn't be happening. Muck is meant to be like one of the best Hooper counters in the game, and it shouldn't just be getting blown away by Hooper. So, I had that idea just because I felt that it means that people who like Z moves still get their Z moves, but it means that people who are building against them don't think like, well, they can just click like Z Thunder and then just going to lose a Pokemon.
Well, I sort of see that viewpoint from Gypsy and yourself, but I think when you look at it, as I said, you're only getting one turn use out of it. So, for example, if Hooper does kill that Alolan Muck, right, and then you have another normal type on your team, how does it then beat that? Because you have that one turn button, right? You click Z Focus Punch. However, every time you go for Focus Punch after that, I think effectively you're playing with a nuke button and 3 attacks, and after you use that nuke button, you are then playing with 3 attacks. That's why I'm not a massive fan of Free Shot Kyurem, because because after you expel that Z move, it's useless. That's why I'm a much more bigger of a fan of like Steelium Z, Kyurem Black to Oko Fairies. I think those things are what people need to consider more, and that if we are going to talk about these 2-turn moves, I think that the best example is something like Fly, Bounce,
Solar Beam
Dig.
is a big one too.
yeah, Solar Beam is the biggest one because it gives fire types an advantage over ground types. In particular, gives Heat Tread a lot more viability. So that's where I can see where the PPL have gone, let's do the maximum price, is they're trying to give a massive advantage, not to the defensive players, but they're trying to balance it a bit. But I think at the same time, you are then giving a unfair advantage to the defensive side, because if you get, if a mod gets its potential by Z-move use, and the defensive side doesn't have to worry about the power behind a Z-move, for example Z Arcanine, it gives that defensive team a bit of a more solid matchup, because the maximum offensive potential of Pokemon is therefore not recognised.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely on the money there. Honestly, it's a very contentious issue. We could honestly just spend an entire podcast talking about it, but I feel that we should try and move on. Let us know, though, in the comments how you feel about this whole Z-move debacle, whether you enjoy Z-moves, whether maybe you're not a huge fan of Z-moves, if maybe you have any potential ideas, because obviously, like, we're not commissioners of any league, but we enjoy the healthy discussion of ideas, and so we're happy hearing what you guys have to say about the issue as well. But is there any topic you want to discuss now?
I was just going to say, to finish on that, my league, which I am a commissioner of, I think the most appropriate route that I'm looking at is the limitation of speed and Omni boosting Z moves. So, for example, Z Rain Dance and Z Sunny Day, I think are two very, very good moves. I have seen them used very, very well in the past. So, I think I want to limit those, but I think apart from that, I'm actually alright with status Z moves like Z Refresh, and then also have offensive Z moves with no restrictions on them.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think we should move on a little bit, because we've got many more things to discuss. Anything off the top of your head that you'd like to have a chat about?
So to say, we focused a lot on the NPL last week, being the largest showdown league at the moment. I thought it would be nice to actually look at the PPL as another large Pokemon league, and I think it's quite unique the way that they have an international break in between their fixtures for a week, which I thought was something quite interesting. I know that in sport and things like that, they believe that a break is good because it allows players to be refreshed. But would you be for a break in the middle of your season, or would you rather just keep on playing?
I mean, it would depend on how busy my life outside of Pokemon is. Like, right now, I could probably handle doing it every week. It wouldn't be that bad. But, like, if I was working, say, like, 9 to 5 all the time and rarely had time for games, then maybe a break would be nice. But a lot of the time, I don't feel it's necessary. When you live in a world where a lot of people are itching for the battle, they're really keen to do it, having a week off can be frustrating for some people. Like, imagine the great Aberforth being told he had to wait a whole other week before he could play his opponent. The amount of no Johns that would be going on in that period. So, I mean, I can understand why they do it, but at the same time, I honestly probably wouldn't be a fan of it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something interesting to look at. I know that for myself, that like, if you have enough of a ultra demographic of players all experiencing something IRL. So, for example, finals that are coming up in America, I can definitely understand like why a break should be needed, or Easter, one of those things. I do try to avoid them as much as possible, but unfortunately, sometimes Mons does get in the way of those things. But at the end of the day, it's nothing special. I think it will be interesting. I think the PPL has a lot of potential as a league, if I'm honest. The amount of work that Raikkonen and the rest of the analysts put in is absolutely amazing. I still can't get over how much work they put in. I think it's something that we, as players, don't really give enough credit to the admins and those who dedicate their time, in particular those who will spend, I don't know how long, but I can imagine Raikkonen's put hours and hours a week. I'm just singling him out in particular because I know he does a lot of the graphic work, and he showed a lot of us how to edit graphics and things like that are analysts, and I just think he's absolutely amazing. But I think as players, we really don't give those admins and head of leagues, commissioners, enough credit as we should.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think Raikkonen's been doing a fantastic job. The entire league has been run like really smoothly, whether that be in D1 or D2. I think that's really good how they have both of these. It's the interesting thing, I guess, that they're going to try and do next season with the NPL. Like, only mentioning the NPL briefly, but how they're looking to run majors and minors at the same time for next time around. I think it's because the PPL kind of revolutionised that, where it's saying like there doesn't need to be a gap in between where like I guess the premise was that they ran the like the NPL minors, right? Basically, that all closed up at around the same time as the NPL majors. The only difference was that I felt that the NPL majors season finished up earlier, and there was still weeks of the minors to go. It was just that the majors guys took a little bit longer to do their playoffs, whereas like the minors guys were able to sort that quickly, smash it out, and it was all good. So I think it's better having both leagues like running against each other because as analysts, it's a lot easier to look at things that way. As just a casual viewer, it gives you a lot more matches to watch in a week, which honestly is better exposure for the PPO in itself. And I think just as a community, it means that everyone's a bit more invested to all watch each other. When you have like, potentially 24 guys, part of both leagues, all supporting each other, it's a very good atmosphere to be in. So I definitely feel that that's one thing they're doing phenomenally well.
I don't know, to be honest. I sort of liked the shorter season of minors, but I think the reason behind it is the different sort of promotion styles of both leagues. The PPL D2, you play everyone sort of twice. Not twice, sorry, once, is it? I've still got to look up the rules. And whereas in the NPL minors, you could really... I think the NPL minors this season, I don't know how past seasons were, but they were very... It was a very obvious three-horse race into who would make majors, being yourself, Monotui, and Rob. And I think that was sort of established week 5, week 6. And I feel with the NPL as well, they are always trying to find the best battlers, and the playoff tournament, and then the league being shorter. But I think by week 5, week 6, we sort of all knew who was going to go up. And I think as well, the other advantage you do have was you had not so much active players in the minors, but you had a lot more guys that were sort of saying like, "This is our shot, let's do it." The nerves and things like that can get in the way. Like I remember, I think NPL minors finals was 3 or 4 hours after the last semi-final.
Yep.
And in contrast to the NPL majors, they took the week off for March Madness. They, scheduling issues. Top tier boy is very hard to get a hold of because he's a movie star now. He's got deals to pay, bills to pay. It's just the life of a movie star, and definitely time zones as well is another factor because besides yourself. In the minors, I think a lot of them were mainly Central European or American. In contrast to the majors, you had 2 Aussies and you had 6 Americans. But then again, you had 2 very, very busy Americans with Togavor, the Shakespeare, Weeaboo, always trying to be Shakespeare, and Zazo and Jolt. A few of them can be hard to get a hold of at the time. So I think those are definitely something to be considered. But I think the purpose of both divisions are different between the 2 leagues. So I think it's hard to sort of give an accurate comparison between the 2. I think it does come to personal preference, but I find the more and more as Pokemon goes on, the less and less content I watch. Not so much because of the fact that I feel like I don't learn anything anymore. It's just because I feel like I can analyse a game and make my own judgment and be like, okay, this is what happened turn 5. Maybe this is why they made it turn 5. Maybe that's why they made it turn 6. And my sort of analysis can sort of give me that insight that I need. However, I do think that there is still benefit to watching players if they are, if you perceive them to be better than yourself. So, for example, watching the Lord and Xavier Gypsy King and showing us how good Mega Gardevoir is definitely beneficial, and I think that the PPL can do that as well. However, I think it just comes down to a viewer choice, really.
Yeah. One thing also that I like, I guess, is a bit of a point of contention. The way the PPL run their league when it comes to matches is that every team will play every other team once for the season, and there is no playoff system. It's basically set up like the English Premier League where, well, basically it's the same sense, but like you don't play every team twice, you just play them all once. And then judging on how you played that team once in the season, that is going to define your rank by the end. Which is interesting because obviously, like as we both know through the NPL, it didn't really happen in minors, but it happened in majors where there's a lot of times where you're having divisional rivals. We have to play them twice in a season, and conference matches, and there's a lot of times where you're not going to be able to play every single team. So how do you feel this system that the PPL has, in where you get the chance to play everybody in the league at least once during the season, compared to, say, the NPL, where you're probably going to face maybe 50 to 75% of the league, but not potentially everyone in the season?
Alright, well, I think the biggest point towards that argument is that what happens about hacks. So the overall leader of NPL at the end of the season was Aberforth in majors. In minors, I think it was yourself, then Rob. So when we talk about this, I think if I remember correctly, your schedule was harder than Rob's, so it's hard to sort of judge. And same as Abe. Like Abe, in a few of the words, people will say he had one of the easiest schedules, and that's what gave him an unfair advantage. So therefore, playoffs is that needed. However, when you look at someone like Abe's season, the amount of hacks he had in the whole season, so if it was down to no playoffs, you would be like, well, he did win, but there was a few very hacksy games. Him freezing Merc Jirachi, him freezing Jolt Zuzumarul, a lot of freezes. And you then look at other people who got lucky in semi-finals in minors, not mentioning any names, Monatui. You then, it's hard to go both ways, because you still have the variable of the hacks in Pokemon, which is what makes Pokemon so annoying to play. But I think both of them have their own merits, and I think the only thing I believe is, I like the idea of, after you play out the season, you're not playing playoffs, but your promotion spots are then set. And it's something that I really look forward to, because so many people will say, promotion should be based on the top semi-finalists. And I'm sort of like, well, one can lose to 8. Well, one shouldn't lose to 8. I'm like, well, if one loses to 8, per se, because 8 is Aberforth and 1 is Jolt, so we both know how that equation's going to go. Abe's going to hack the living daylights out of Jolt, because Jolt's just a boy. Don't do it, I'm a virgin. That's potentially what could happen. And I think that's really unfair to the guy that's been consistent the whole season, that's probably beaten people. Like we saw, for example, you 6-0'd Monatui in the regular season, and then lost 3-0 in the semis?
No, it was 2-0.
2-0, dang. 2-0. And I think, if you would like to compare those two results, you would think, Verd definitely deserves to be the first one up out of those two, because Verd beat Mono, on the differential of 4+4 differential, and at the same time, Verd was the only undefeated guy in minors, and had the longest undefeated streak in
Basically, I'm the Undertaker.
So, the Undertaker, and Monatui is Brock Lesnar. Oh dang, where's Matty Prolik's OUPL Week 2? Where is it?
Yeah, also, I just want to point out that I believe that the NPL Commissioner Jolt is not a virgin. I have my sources telling me he has had many sexual relations with Korn.
Look, Styx doesn't count, alright? We all know what him and Styx get up to. We don't want to discuss what they do.
Hello, already 6 years from talking minorities, and I'm in Jolt's house. I mean, what?
I got another TCG video today. Jolt, get out from under there. Sorry, Styx. Don't talk with your mouth full.
Finish your corn, sweetie.
Finish your corn. Hey, Jolt, what are you watching today? Just with a corn, mate.
Yo, Jolt should actually get a shirt that says Corn Hub on it. I would pay money for a Corn Hub shirt to be made.
We would pay money for this corn.
Anyway, I get what you mean, though. In what you're saying, that people who play better in the regular season should be more, or people overall who play better against their opponents should be rewarded more. And I do get that to a sense, because some players in the NPL minors, I found it was where sometimes they just had a bad matchup, or hacks happen in against or with them. Realistically, if hacks didn't happen at all in the NPL semi-finals, it probably would have been David and myself not playing for third place, but playing for first place. Obviously that's contentious, because Rob could have come back from the position he was in, but there were a lot of unfortunate bits, especially that Draco miss on Slowbro that really sucked for David in the complexion of that game. And so in saying that, the thing is though, that like you said, Rob, performed a lot better than David did this season. So it would make more sense, I guess, to reward them. And that's the one issue I have with the PPL system, is that it rewards players who are able to just win base matchup. So, for instance, like, if, you know, Gypsy only played Zazo once for the entire season, and it was that game where Zazo got the hacks and was able to win, then that's just how it is, and it's like, Gypsy doesn't get a second chance. That was his one chance to beat Zazo. It's gone.
But if we're gonna use this whole scenario of base matchup, are we saying then for a fairer representation we should play everyone twice?
The issue with playing everyone twice is, and I guess that's where therein lies the issue, is if you play everyone twice, it means that your league is going to be running, say that the PPL, right, has 12 teams. That means that without even factoring in playoffs, you're doing 22 matches in a season. So that is 22 weeks of uploads, factoring in potential playoffs if they do them. I doubt they will, but that is almost half of a year dedicated to just one league. So that's the issue there. Unless they shortened it to where they did 2 matches in 1 week. Yeah.
What I'm saying though is that when you use, I'm not a whole believer in this whole, you know, I have a poor matchup thing. I think it's quite, I don't want to say juvenile, but I think it's quite a sort of cop out. I think that every matchup, if you're going to say a base matchup is poor, I believe that is if you were to bring your best six sets against their best 6 sets, that they would win. And I think it's one of those things that not every player always brings their best optimal 6 sets. And as always, there are things that can, you know, greatly change a game. For example, our favourite topic, Z moves, or you know, another tech. For example, Trev the King's Infestation Curse Mimikyu against the top tier boy, and Carney Hobo's Flame Charge Heat Train are things that definitely, when you innovate, can definitely give yourself an advantage over your opponent, and that advantage that you can gain can then therefore overturn that base matchup.
Yeah, I mean, if it's me looking at like leagues in general, the one that I've enjoyed the most is probably, like, when it comes to structure wise, is when you have like 16 teams, you split them into their 4 divisions, potentially having them in conferences or not conferences. I don't really care either way. But what I like about that premise, and it's something that I liked about the MPL Minors when I was in it, was where you face off against guys that maybe you didn't go that well against last time, or you did go well against, and you have to change something up, because you can't just bring the same team again. They're going to be expecting that, and they're going to, you know, fix the mistakes they made. And so then it's up to you to, you know, basically be able to adapt to a situation, change your team, design it in a way where it can still do what it did last time, maybe get the win, but in a different way that kind of throws your opponent off a little. So that was the thing with Mono. Like, yeah, I did 6-0 him. He wasn't really trying in that first game. He didn't really care about it that much. Or that's his excuse, I don't really know. But in the second game, like, he brought some really good prep, but at the same time, so did I. Like, I knew that, you know, I was going to need to bring something different from what I did last time. So I brought dual screen circuitry. I brought defensive autotomized Celesteela, which, you know, there were things that in the first game I hadn't even thought would be, like, you know, decent, but in reality they actually turned out to be, you know, 2 of the clutchest sets that I could have brought against him. So I enjoy having that potential to rematch, because I get that, like, people sometimes will complain about bad matchup, but if you play the guy again, it gives you a chance to, you know, rectify that and say, he knows that I have a bad matchup against this, and he knows how well it did last time, so I'm going to, you know, design my way of, you know, being able to stop that in the future. So, I don't know, it adds another element to the game, I suppose, that is quite refreshing. But I don't know. I like both systems. Don't get me wrong. I think the PPL system is good in a sense because you get to play everybody once. What I just don't like about it is that, you know, if hacks or something unfortunate happens, it's just really frustrating that you probably will never get a chance to rematch that person during that season, to be able to rectify that. And so that kind of would sting, I think. Like, Baby Eric was playing Mono, and he probably would have beaten Mono, but I think he missed a move or something crit, or I don't know, I can't remember, there was some bit of hacks that happened, and he wanted to lose that game, and it would have been really important for him to win. And the fact that, you know, just that one little moment can just take a win, and there's no real way to get it back because you don't rematch them, you don't ever, you know, play them again. It's like one off and that's it. So it's good and it's bad. Both have their positives and negatives. For me, I still prefer, like I said, the divisions, conferences, that stuff, because I think as a team builder, like as much as I love my team building, that is what I would enjoy more, is that kind of style. But I do see the positives in both.
But I want to say though, if we're gonna say that there's no hacks involved, I think that the PPL system is better.
Yeah.
You know, if you want playoffs, it's optional. We're gonna pretend that, you know. No, we're not gonna pretend. We're just gonna say that that's the way. But I think if we are gonna say hacks, like for example, I can't imagine going 9-0, getting to the finals of minors just to be hacked out. Like, wouldn't you be more mad as that happening than rather than being 9-1 and being hacked out, but you are going to still win the title?
I think the way I think about it is that at the end of the day, hacks happens, and I would rather. I enjoy playoffs, and I enjoy being able to rematch people, because as a builder and a battler, it means you have to change your style a little bit to suit the matchup, and for me, that's a challenge that I look forward to and I kind of enjoy. But at the same time, I get what you mean. Like, you know, it is a lot safer to just be conservative and say, well, you know what, I've gone unbeaten for the entire regular season, just give me my title and I'll be on my way. But I'm just a big fan of playoffs. I think it just, there's a lot more pressure designed with it. Like, the regular season games are very good, but there's a lot more pressure that comes with the playoffs, and a lot more great plays and prep are brought, and it genuinely brings out the best in people. Like, that Zazo Gypsy final was just so, like, compared to their first meeting, where Zazo basically brought memes, when Zazo this time was actually genuinely being serious, and Gypsy was also bringing his A game, and it was so back and forth with all the Dragon Tail misses. Like, that's genuinely enjoyable to watch. And so, as much as I could have just said, well, I've gone 7-0 in the regular season, I'm outie boys, just send me up to majors real quick, I do enjoy the playoff system, because yeah, it sucked that I lost to Mono in that sense. Like, if I had lost fair to Mono, then I would have been like, yep, that's fine, you know, it is what it is, I got beaten by a better player. But when it was literally 93% in my favour to win that game, that kind of sucks. Like, that was the really unfortunate part of it.
I know that.
So, yeah, that was very frustrating indeed. But that's Pokemon, man. Like, I can't really say much else about that. It's just the game that we play. And, I mean, I still feel happy with how my minor season went. I still went 9-1. I still, you know, in most of my matchups performed quite well. And it would have been great to face Rob Jr. in that league. But I may get my chance in majors, or even in the CPC finals if I make it. So it's going to be interesting. But when it comes to what you were saying, I still would prefer playoffs, because as much as it would be nice to just say, yeah, I've done it, let's go, I'd rather continue to challenge myself and get better and, you know, establish that I still am the top dog by then going on and still being unbeaten in the playoffs as well. Like, it sends more of a statement that way than just going undefeated in the regular season.
I can definitely, sign that viewpoint. And I think we've had enough discussion on Mons for a change. How's your week been?
It's been alright. Just been working, had 2 games of soccer yesterday, so I'm pretty stuffed. But
how was the soccer?
We're playing against like a lot of African guys, but they just kept running, and I mean, you know me, I love my running. I was just running around,
running away from life's problems.
Well, I mean, I was in the reserve. I play reserves and A's. Like, I play for the first team and the reserve team. So reserve team I play as a centre mid, just running around, doing my own thing. Almost had a couple of goals because their goalkeeper was terrible. We ended up winning 1-0. We probably, it was a really scrappy game. We probably should have drawn or lost that one, but we somehow came away with the win, which was insane. And then in the A game, I'm actually, for the first team, I'm actually the choice goalkeeper. So, it's been going pretty well. Like, I'm still getting used to the goalkeeping, but we ended up losing 2-1. There were just 2 shots where, like, they were 1-on-1 against me, and I'm not that much, like, I'm not the best goalkeeper in the world. Like, I try my best, and I make a lot of saves, but When it's one-on-one, it's really hard to predict like exactly where they're going to go, and like it's not as easy as Pro Football Manager or FIFA, where you can kind of, do ungodly things with the goalkeepers. So we just got beaten twice, and it was frustrating loss because it was genuinely a team I feel we could have beaten, but we just weren't able to get across the line. But that's just how it goes, man. And the worst part was I had to go straight from there straight to work, and then work for 3 hours. So I came home pretty dead that night, and then Abe was like, "Hey, you want to chat for 2 hours about Z moves and Pokemon tiering?" And I'm like,
Sure.
I mean, if you really want to, but
And then you're like, I'm going to roast you on the Bird and Vert show next. For being
pretty much.
wrong.
I like how you said 2 Aussies were in the finals. A fake Australian bird, not a real Australian. But how's your week been going?
No, it's alright. Uni's a pain.
The train trip, yeah.
I wish I had mate. One of my uni tutors is like, you gotta start getting earlier to class, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm like, dang shoot. Like, I definitely made a lot of like first year mistakes with like my schedule. Like, I have so many, like my timetable's all over the place. But hopefully it'll get better soon. The worst thing was, the worst news I had all week was I went to the orthodontist on Monday, and that's like, you're gonna have another 7 weeks. And then I went to rugby union yesterday, and I had to stand and be touchy, and I was like, I so badly want to be on this field. I just want to play.
So what's the issue with the So orthodontist is teeth? No, yes. So you have to wait until the braces are removed before you can actually play.
A dentist looks after your teeth in general, making sure they're healthy and stuff like that. Whereas an orthodontist is more so about the alignment and stuff like that.
So basically, you have to wait until they're fully aligned again before you can go out on a rugby field.
So what happened with my teeth was that one of my teeth was up near my nose, and we had to pull it down from that position, and then realign the teeth after it and fix the bite. So when I saw the orthodontist on Monday, the previous appointment, he told me, like, next time we come on, if you're happy with it, we'll talk about getting them off. And I was like, oh yes, potential rugby, I'm so keen. And then it was like, heart just dropped when he was like, yeah, 7 weeks, probably still another. He said another 3 appointments after that, so probably, I assume, maybe another 4 months. And it's just like, that's the end of footy season, and I'm going to miss another year. Sitting there in my corner, trying not to cry. But it's been definitely a painful thing, but at the same time, it's probably been beneficial because things like chocolate are like completely out of my diet because they're just painful to eat. So like, I just don't eat chocolate anymore because it's too painful. Mate, I was allergic to dairy as a kid, so milk. Yeah.
How are you gonna get Zazo's sweet nectar then?
Zazo doesn't drink milk. He's vegan.
He can get soy
vegan.
milk. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I used to drink soy milk.
Yeah.
Because I was allergic to milk from a cow.
From Rizzy Cow.
I know.
Yo, what is up, guys? This is
Maybe
Rizzy Cow.
This is the bird who's allergic to Rizzy cow milk. Might explain a lot, might it? But yeah. So like, dairy is something that's very, very little in my diet because I was allergic to.
Dude, this means like a serious lack of cakes can be consumed.
No, not really, because like, it's one of the things, like, I don't really eat that much cheese unless it's like on a pizza, or actually, I don't really know what else I have cheese on. I occasionally have like a cheese and chicken sandwich. Apart from that, like, very, very little. Same as like milk. Like, I don't drink milk straight. I don't eat ice cream anymore. So like, milk is at a pretty low level of consumption in my diet, apart from when I have cakes and things like that. But yeah,
so the good thing for when you do come down to Adelaide is that the pizza place I work at does have lactose-free cheese that we can put on top of the.
I'm not lactose intolerant. I just choose not to do it.
Do you like? Does it upset your stomach though?
No. Like, I'm completely fine. I could go eat a gallon. I could just go eat, a kilo of cheese. I still like the taste of it. unless it's prepared in a pizza or some other form.
Alright, let's talk about pizza for a
Like-
second. It's like, obviously at some point you're coming down to South Australia. I'm getting you some lawn
Yeah.
and I'm getting you some pizza. So
Yeah.
ideally, because I know you're a man who is a bit of a pizza connoisseur, what is like your ideal pizza? If I'm making you a pizza, what do I have to go to the market and get to prepare this pizza for you?
Mate, there's been like my favorite pizza. There's a place like not like a local place of mine, but like there's a franchise place near where I live, and they make they're probably the best chicken pizza. I love it to death. It's pretty much just chicken, pineapple, cheese. I think that's it really. Might be onion.
Do they put barbecue sauce on top?
I'm gonna look it up now. It's because it's called a chicken Hawaiian.
Yeah, chicken Hawaiian. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But mate,
We
that
have
is
one
my
that's kind of
favourite pizza.
similar at the place that I work at, but we do it. We call it chicken supreme. It's basically mushroom, capsicum, chicken, and pineapple.
Yeah, no mushrooms, please.
No mush. We don't even use. Okay, so some places use champignon, which is like the tin mushroom, but we actually use fresh mushroom. And our chicken as well that we have at our place is cooked fresh, so it's not even processed like frozen chicken.
Yes.
It's actually chicken that's been put through the oven with I think it's oregano, pepper, and salt on there with it and oil. Goes through the oven, comes out perfectly
Yeah.
cooked. We cut it all up and then chuck it on our pizza. So it's just like, oh, it's something special.
Like chicken that comes from. I'm looking it up now. Chicken pizzas, grilled chicken breast, and pineapple on barbecue base.
On a barbecue base,
Simple
yeah.
but effective.
Dude, well, we can
Yeah.
either do the barbecue base or you just do barbecue sauce on top. They're the two kind of options that people normally go with.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think a Hawaiian is also another one that's hard to beat. But it really depends on how good the pineapple and ham is. If you get like those Pizza Hut Hawaiians, I can't stand them.
Even a Domino's Hawaiian isn't
Oh,
that great.
Nah, man. Like I prefer just cooking my own pizza.
The only thing I like from Domino's that they do is the peri peri swirl. Like, peri peri sauce is just, oh.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't really enjoy like spicy food. Like it's weird when people like try to go out with me. They're like, "James, what do you eat?" And it's like very, very little. I'm like, I know. Stop
So what
being
I
a
can't
pain.
I
I'm
can't
like,
put like
okay.
a secret bottom layer of jalapenos on your pizza when you come around.
You can. I'll send you to minus for that. I'll be talking with Joel.
No, I already got sent. I already got
Sorry.
sent to minus the other day because I told Joel that he has no.
Send you to the shadow realm.
I got sent to minus the other day because Joel was in a call and he's like, and they're like, "Oh, Joel, you know, can you do this?" And he's like, "I don't know, I got a social life," and I'm like, "Wait, Joel, you have friends?" And he's like, "That's it, back to majors with you, boy." And I'm like, "Oh no, Mum, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it."
I'm adjustable. But yeah, no, I'm a simple man when it comes to pizzas. I used to like I don't know if you used to do it, but you put cheese on you have your pizza base. You then put your sauce of choice. I normally have barbecue, very occasionally have tomato. Then put a layer of cheese. Then put, like, for example, I put chicken and pineapple, and then you would have another layer of cheese on top.
So like you just want a lactose, you just want a coma, you just want a cheese coma. I see. Like okay,
No,
how
not
much of a
really,
layer
it's
is
just-
the bottom layer of cheese? Like,
Like, are you thinking that like what I do is I just like grab like a kilo of mozzarella and just
no, because like I know,
strand by
I
strand, just like
basically
cover
okay,
it.
put it this way.
No, like
do you put about the same amount of cheese on the first layer as you do on the second layer?
no, about half. on
Okay,
the
that's
first.
fine. Then. That's yeah.
Because you don't want to
It'll make
I'm
it
not-
soggy as
I'm not the
it'll make
type
it
of
soggy
person-
as fuck, and you can also burn the cheese if you put too
Oh,
much
mate,
on.
You know what I can't. You know what I can't
Weirdos.
stand. No, apart from that, cheese on my halal snack packs. Like I don't know if the Yanks know what a halal snack pack is because you know of diversity
Probably.
reasons, but it's pretty much you get like chicken kebab meat. Like I want to buy a rotisserie one day so I can have like chicken.
Oh,
kebab
dude,
with
rotisserie
it.
chicken is
It's
so
amazing.
good.
I know. One of my cousin's friends owns a kebab shop, and I'm still yet to have one. It's just like to me every time I say, like, yeah, we'll go one day. And it's like every time I go, it's like, oh no, it's closed now. Dang. But rotisserie chicken. So my uni, they do like rotisserie chicken. It's not as good as some places, but it's one of the things. You're there at uni, who cares? And then their chips are okay, but I get plain salt because otherwise my vegan friend Anthony Zazo will yell at me for having chicken salt in my chips with my chicken kebab snack pack. So I then have like plain salt chips with my chips with chicken kebab meat on top, and they put cheese in the middle, and it's like all the chips go soggy. And it's like, oh,
That does sound pretty upsetting. You know what you should try? I don't know if they do it at this place, but you should have something called an AB. Basically, you get your chips, right? Then,
yeah.
the way we do it at the pizza place that I work at is, then you get a pan and you cook gyros meat and onion in it, and like any other like little bits you want. But normally it's just the gyros meat and the onion. Cook that up. Then you place all that stuff on top of the chips, and then you put some tzatziki on top of that, and it's
I'm yet to diversify my cultural tastes. I haven't branched out.
I mean, gyros is
That's
very
good.
similar to kebab, so
No, but I mean, like they probably do it, but like I'm just the type of person. Like I haven't had a pied either.
wait. What?
Yeah, I haven't had.
You've
one.
never
It's
had a
like
pie?
snack pack.
Oh,
No, pied.
I thought you were saying
I don't know.
you'd
I was
never
gonna
had
say-
a beef pie, and I'm like, are you Australian?
I've had a beef pie. It's not my preferred
Oh,
choice.
then I should take you to this place down. Okay, so hear me out. This one, right? So there's this bakery, like 15-minute drive from my house, and so the other day my mate and I were down there. We got 2 pies, a sausage roll, and 2 drinks for under $20.
Man, that's good
It
value.
was pretty darn good.
I think that one thing about food in Australia is it can be a bit expensive.
It can be,
places.
for sure. Good thing you have
Like-
mates rates at my pizza place.
Like yes, but I was gonna say at uni though, it's because I like chicken more than beef. It cost me $12 to buy like the equivalent size of a beef snack pack, and it's like, man. Whereas you go to any other place and it's like, you want chicken kebab snack pack? It's like, yes. It's like $10, and I'm like, ooh, yes. There used to be a place. There's a place where. So what I used to do for HSC was I was studying in a place 10 minutes from this snack pack place, and we used to always go back to the snack pack place and then go home. And you know like when you go to a chicken chip shop and then like you buy like chicken with chips and they give you like that large like styrofoam box. They'd fill one of those up with chicken kebab meat and chips, and I used to smash them every day. And it was $15. I was like the best value for food that was there, because you could have like a chicken kebab snack pack, and I would get home and I'd still be full. Like that was just like the best like feeling, because just like it was just one of the best things. Whereas at uni, it's like it's good, but some days I just prefer to brown bag it from home because it's not absolutely amazing. Like I was like the other day, I was like, dang, I really want a chicken kebab snack pack, and I had it, and I was like, this is as good as I remember it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, I think what we should do to close off this fantastic second episode is I would like us to finish off with, I believe you have a burb tale that you would like to tell everyone.
Oh yes, I do actually. If you are a Trump supporter, you'll love this one. This is my. This is the old
Shout out
classic.
to Hera
I want
Frost,
to dedicate
yeah.
this.
Is this one being dedicated to him, no?
No. It's my mum. I want to dedicate this to Mama Jolt. She's my mum. She talks with a mouthful when she talks to sticks. Don't know what it's full of, but that's another tale. I still love that. Have you ever heard of there was a comedian who says he said the best ever Yo Mama joke he heard is that Yo Mama's so nasty, she sucks your daddy dick and then walks back in the room and kisses you on the cheek. And I thought,
Yeah.
dang. Alright, but this one's dedicated to Mama Jolt, so thank you, Mum. On this day, we turn our backs on having a black man to take in an orange man. Netflix was right. Orange is the new black. However, there is one fault. DJ Trump cannot be found. His last reported sighting was him and Putin crossing the Mexican border to bring back cheaper labor to build the wall. Inspired by Game of Thrones, Trump envies King Joffrey and the evilness he committed. Sorry, Trump, for the spoiler. Trump will stop the Muslims and Mexicans, and anyone that belongs to a group that starts with the letter M won't be allowed in. Therefore, Meme Lord, Mamas, and Mighty Mammoth Wine fanboys are banned. However, millionaires are allowed on the provision they don't release their tax returns. On the border, Trump runs into a buddy of his, Cenk Uygur, aka Gypsy's lover, who will not let Trump into America because Trump hurt his feelings. The time of DJ Trump, the first president that has received a stunner from Steve Austin, I was going to say Steve Cold Austin, will ensure the WWE shall prosper in his time of presidency. To eliminate homelessness, he will deport those who are homeless. What a man. He's incredible. But America cannot wait for America to be great again, in particular around C-1000 CE, where gun violence was at an all-time low. The housing market was stable, I know. Don't mention it, it's quite shocking. Uh-oh, there is someone coming towards the stage, holding a gold briefcase. It's John Cena! He's cashing in his money in the bank. He is president. My God, JR, can you believe it? Trump missed his opportunity, tugging Putin in the car? I have a message for all you kids out there. Cena instructs, you cannot see me! Pew, a bullet hits John straight in the temple. He has been killed. The remote-controlled shot was targeted for Trump, but Cena took a bullet for America. He reminds me of Harambe, who took a bullet for us all. Will DJ Trump ever stop tongue-punching Putin on the Mexican border? Will the lazy Mexicans ever build the wall? Will Matty Brolick be forced to bury talent instead of John Cena? We'll never know. Find out next time in episode 3.
People, these Burb Tales are some of the greatest things that I ever heard and read. Like, back when he was doing these on like a daily basis, they were my greatest source of entertainment. I would rather read them than watch like most of my YouTube videos. So if you'd like to see more, then definitely keep on liking these videos. Make sure you also subscribe to this man's channel. His content is about as golden in Donald Trump's face. And I mean, subscribe to me too if you want. I mean, I'm just
subscribe to Verd. He's my Mike Pence. He's my assistant manager. He's gonna make
I'm Melania
sure
Trump.
you
Are you mad?
Oh, I don't know about that. There might be another woman in my life that I've got my eye on.
See, I don't get it. If Zaza is vegan, how does he take your semen?
Like most men.
They said like most men in the ass. But okay, anyway, I think with that we should probably close out this episode of the Bird and Bird Show. Like I said, if you enjoyed, like it, comment down below about some of the topics we talked about, and also comment if there's any new topics you'd like us to discuss next week, or tweet either of us. I actually don't even know what my Twitter handle is anymore, but I'm sure Bird will link him in the description.
It's the underscore the
29
Bird,
yeah.
29.
And what are you, Bird, on? Are you just the Flying Bird?
The Flying Bird 14, because that's how many fans I have.
I was about to say I got 15 more than you, but I'm like, oh,
dang, you got 29 million.
Easy. That's gonna do it for us, though, guys. Hope you have enjoyed this, and we will catch you next time for the Bird and Bird Show.
Peace.
Bird and Bird Show.
Peace.